and even with such a serious story, and one when you started, I had a lump in my throat. You've left me smiling because there is something about you that is incredibly special, and maybe the doctors were right, and you shouldn't have made it, but the universe said, no way, not today, and you're here for a reason. And I have just had the most incredible moment, or one of the most incredible moments of my life. Welcome back to another episode of Good Things with myself, Brent Lindeque, the Good Things guy. I'm excited! I say that every week, and I think it gets worse every time I say it. But this week, I've got an incredible South African who's here in studio with me with the most phenomenal story. Kelvin van Baalen could very well be the individual, the South African, with the highest medical aid account, do I say? A bill of 21 million rand. Why does he have such a big bill? Well, he was in a paragliding accident a couple of years ago. We're going to get into that. Where you spent over 413 days in ICU with over 75% burns on your body. Cal, what a great thing to have you in studio. What a miracle to have you here today. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Super excited to get into it. And like I always say, if my story can just help one person, then I've done my job. If it inspires one person to keep going and not give up, then I've done something good. And yeah.
And I think that's where we're going to get to, is that you're here, you didn't give up, but we need to take many steps back to that day when you went paragliding. Where exactly were you and what happened?
Yeah, so at first it's quite important for me to clarify. A lot of people often think it was like my first flight. I just jumped off a mountain and hit a power line. But I had about 700-800 flights. So I started when I was 16. And that day we were at Barberton. So there by Nelspruit. And it was a competition, probably my 10th competition. And yeah, we took off. It was another normal day, waited to start the race, and flew about 8 Ks down the ridge from the takeoff and got low. So I had to land, and it's quite like a forested, bushy area. So ideally you don't want to land in the bush. And I can remember everything. I was coming into land, saw the bushes, they were a bit taller than I thought, did a turn to land on the road, and I didn't see the power line, which was adjacent to the road.
Yes.
And I saw it at the last minute, and I tried to turn, because that's rule number one. Like, rather hit the ground, rather hit the mountain, hit anything except the power line, but it was too late. So I turned, and that's why I hit the power line with my left hip. And then I just remember like the electricity going through my body. I remember like trying to sort of move, but I couldn't. I was actually like trying to do something, but I was just shocked. And then I remember passing out, and I'd actually never passed out up until that point, like never fainted or got so drunk that I blacked out. So that was a first. And then I woke up on the ground and I was fully engulfed in flames. I was still lying there in my harness, still strapped in, still with my helmet on, and I had like a raging fire on my body. And I was completely naked. All my clothes were burnt like into my skin. And then at that point I said to myself, like, shit, I better move now or else I'm going to die in this field. And I unclipped and started rolling away, put the fire out, and couldn't stand up, couldn't do everything, but I was actually more worried about how I'm going to replace my 100 grand paraglider.
Carl, I've spoken to a couple of adventurists. I'm going to put you into that category. And that's the crazy thing, right? Is that what you've just described is possibly the scariest thing that I've ever heard. And I'm sure for the viewers and the listeners as well. But still, that adventurous in your heart was like, what about my parachute, my paragliding equipment?
I promise, like I don't think a lot of people know a lot about burns. Well, I certainly didn't at the time. And I looked at my body and I thought I'll be in hospital for like a week. And I thought, well, how am I going to fly in 2 months? Because I don't have a glider. I was lying there in the field thinking about that.
So in that moment, you weren't fearful of your life,
No.
which I'm guessing with the burns that you had, there would have been a huge percentage that you may not have survived with that amount of burns. But you were sort of focused on the future anyway, so there was hope. You were looking towards the future. Where did the help come from? Because you were sitting in a field. Did you have a tracker on you? Was someone able, because you were in a competition, were they watching you?
Yeah. So luckily another pilot, he saw me. He saw me hit the power line. He said it was like a Goku fireball. Like the arc flash was just a massive. And then he told the paramedics to go, told them my location roughly, and they knew where to go. And then a bit of a funny story. I think it's funny. I think you'll think it's funny, just to lighten it up. So my orthopedic surgeon, Mark Human, he also paraglides.
Okay.
So he was actually also flying, and he decided he's going to land near me, and he had 1 or 2 sheets of burn shield. And he looked at me, and my skin was white, because our skin is quite similar to pig skin.
Okay.
So when it goes crackling, your skin goes like white. And he looked at me and he thought, this guy's probably history, but if he does survive, he's going to need... So he put 2 sheets of burn shield on my groin. And I go and say thank you to him every time I see him. Thanks, Doc. Didn't need my stomach, didn't need any... Very important. So I had good help. I had very good help.
On site.
At the accident. Very, very
well,
good.
Thank you for making the moments a little bit lighter. And thanks for that doctor for, thinking ahead.
Yeah. No, Mark.
It's so that then you get put up into, I would imagine, ambulance, helicopter? How did they get
ambulance. I was knocked out in 5 seconds and I don't remember the next month or 2 months.
Okay.
Then I they drove me to Nelspruit, helicopter to Mill Park. And then when I tell you the next year of my life, it was a complete blur. I can't tell you if it was day 10 or day 200. It was just, things were just happening I didn't know. I thought my brother was my son.
Were you on a lot of pain meds, I would imagine?
Yes, insane amounts, like Dormicum and your morphines.
Yep.
And they have to rotate them because you get used to it. So, yeah, but the next year was just like crazy. I can't remember. It's like just lost a year and a half of my life, but at least I'm here.
You're here, and that's the moment, the pivotal sort of moment where your story has taken a different turn, because what you went through was so harrowing, and you've come out the other side with a great sense of humor, first of all, but you're also sharing your story with other South Africans so that they could learn from you, and I guess learning... I wouldn't imagine learning the sport or what not to do or what to do, because that you already know, right? You're taught that.
Yeah.
But it's the resilience and sort of pushing forward to make it to a point where you can sit in a chair and tell your story.
Yeah, I think for me, on a personal level, I could have the worst day ever and it's never going to be a bad day. It's never going to top what I've been through. So I get down sometimes and I just got to think back to...
How long ago was that?
2018.
Okay.
So I came out of hospital end of 2019, and then COVID was like the best thing for me because I had my whole family. No one could go to work. Everyone had to look after me, help me walk, help me get Coke out the fridge, whatever. So... yeah, but it was a long journey. Yeah.
The rehabilitation, so the parts that you can remember.
I remember all the rehab.
Because that was after coming out of ICU.
It was like a complete change. As soon as I came out, I was a completely different person. It's like ICU is just a separate... I mean, the Burns ICU room is like 3 meters by 3 meters, just locked in a cage while you're there.
For 413 days.
Yeah, I didn't see the sun for that long. As soon as I got out of there, it was like life sort of... began again. Yeah.
Okay, and the rehabilitation, if you could take us through that, what was that like? So coming, out of ICU, you're at home. What is it like to have to, I don't know, learn to walk again, having almost a different body?
Yeah, I think I got a lot of like negative things from doctors and stuff. They said like I wouldn't walk again. I wouldn't be able to do this. And I actually got told, like, wind your neck in a bit, your goals are a bit out there. And I don't know, as the person I am, I said, stuff you, I'm going to do it.
I'm doing it, whether you like it or not.
I remember walking to the gym from the rehab, and it was maybe 20 meters. And I even messaged my girlfriend at the time. I'm like, I walked to the gym, obviously with a walker. But I walked there and back 40 meters, and the next day I did it twice, so 80 meters. I'm like, if I can just keep doing this for 10 days, I'm going to do 400 meters. That's like a football field or whatever. Like, then I can just keep doing that and, like...
Carl, you walked into studio today, no problem. Like, so
Yeah.
whatever the doctors, whatever they thought, you've defied them completely. I mean, from the first doctor who was like, he ain't going to make it, so let's give him a little bit of love here. You've defied the story completely. You're a miracle sitting across from me, and I'm in absolute awe. Absolute awe.
Yeah, had a lot of people, good people, trauma surgeons, plastic surgeons, they're amazing. Yeah.
So I need to ask the question, because I'm sure the listeners and the viewers are thinking the same thing. Have you got back on a paraglide?
Yes. The fire did not burn the passion out of me.
Yeah.
And it's something that I argue like very strongly about. If you've got a passion, if I couldn't walk now, I would figure out how to hook that thing up to my wheelchair and go off the mountain. So I started, I had a lot of trouble with my license, like legal.
What? Because of what had happened?
Yeah, they treat paragliders like airline pilots. So I just want to fly my piece of fabric. Like, I'm not responsible for other people. If I hurt someone, I'm going to hurt myself.
Yeah.
But they make us go through a lot of stuff. But yeah, I've flown. I've got like 20 flights now. I've done 200K flights. So like proper back in the air, 4 hours of flying. So yeah.
So I got to speak to Joey Evans a couple of weeks ago, who went from being a paraplegic to racing Dakar.
Oh, okay.
And he'd broken his back on a motorbike, and he did exactly the same thing. So it's that passion that, what did you say? The fire didn't put out.
Yeah. No, if you've got it, I could have another accident, touch wood, whatever.
Let's hope I'm going to touch wood as well.
But it's like what drives me. It's, we're driving here, I'm looking at the clouds and checking the wind, and that's just what I love. It's what I love.
Absolute passion. And now you're telling your story, right? So not just on my podcast, but you're also telling it on a broader spectrum, that you want to, keynote speaking, public speaking, sharing that story with more South Africans.
Yeah, I've shared it a few places. I did like a nice carte blanche one. That was more like regards to my medical aid sort of thing. And I speak at a lot of medical conferences, and I tell them exactly what I'm telling you. I say, don't give up on a patient. All the formulas that they have, not one of them accounts for like human spirits. It was all numbers, but no, So I'll go visit people back at the burns unit. I go say thanks to them every birthday, like here's some cupcakes, thanks for giving me another year. And
you touched on the carte blanche thing and the medical aid. So is it recorded that you are the South African individual with the biggest medical aid bill?
That's what my medical aid told me.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty accurate, like
21 million rand.
21 mil and counting. So like I think it's 25,000 a day for ICU, just for ICU. So that's 10 bar.
Yeah.
And then 40 operations. It's crazy how it racks up, but
and have the medical aid, I mean, I don't want to step on anyone's toes here, but have they looked after you?
They paid 21 million, but they did write an email to my trauma surgeon saying I'm non-recoverable and she should let me die. So I'll let you guys decide.
That's insane. But they did fit the bill, so you don't owe that money to no one.
No. Okay. They legally have to pay though. So I still think if any of them are watching, they should have used me as an advert. I would have been the best advert ever.
Who knows? Maybe they do. Maybe this is it.
Maybe, yeah.
Carl, where to from here? So we're flying again. We're in the air. We're telling your story. What's next?
Yeah, I think golf. Play a lot of golf, one of the best disabled golfers in the country. So I love my golf. Paragliding is obviously the passion.
Yeah.
I finished the degree. So last year I finished my BCom finance.
Incredible.
And I'm working now in finance and insurance. So who better for disability policy than me?
So I'm going to say this, that if the finance and insurance thing doesn't work out, you definitely should look at comedy, because you my team keep laughing. You've got great timing. And even with such a serious story,
Yeah.
and one, when you started, I had a lump in my throat. You've left me smiling, because there is something about you that is incredibly special. And maybe the doctors were right, and you shouldn't have made it. But the universe said, no way.
Not today.
Not today. And you're here for a reason. And I have just had the most incredible moment, one of the most incredible moments of my life, by sitting chatting to you. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Ben. Thanks for having me. It's been fun. Nice meeting you, the guy that I see everywhere. Follow all his LinkedIn posts. Yeah.
I would like to go for a beer. I think there's a lot more to your story. It's been absolutely incredible having Kelvin or Kevin. I'm joking. Having
Brent.
This is
Brent.
This is behind the scenes. Before we started recording, we were talking about how people get our names wrong. It's been incredible having Kel in the seat in the studio with me today, and I've really been moved by this conversation. If people want to follow you, which I'm sure they want to, how do they find you?
Instagram. I'm not really a massive social media person.
I think you better be getting on that
Facebook,
social media level. If you want to be in the adverts, we're going to have to get you more on social media.
Yeah. No, Facebook. I got a lot of followers. Facebook, probably the biggest.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We're going to put his link below so that you can find him and follow his story. What a fascinating story, and really just I've been incredibly moved. As I say every week, wishing you only good things. Okay. Love you. Bye.